See this guy? Yesterday I met Patrick Lancaster, the reporter who revealed the truth about the suffering of people in eastern Ukraine.
Right now, the shelling keeps continuing. It is coming down almost directly on top of us.
Now that caused a bit of a ruction in politics, and that experience set him off on a mission to look behind the official Western government narratives. And now he's in China. What's he going to reveal? Well, more about that shortly. Hey guys, remember in 2022 when the internet was showing missiles raining down on Ukraine and people were saying, oh, those awful Russians? But it wasn't the Russians. People on the US side of Ukraine were firing missiles on the Russian-speaking side of Ukraine. And one reporter who was living there became famous because he was reporting the real story. His name was Patrick Lancaster and he's in Hong Kong this week. In fact, he's right here.
Hello.
Now you might recognize him from some famous videos. Now the one that really shocked me was one where you were like running down a street counting dead bodies. That was pretty shocking. That was all real, right?
Yeah, definitely, unfortunately, real. And unfortunately, that type of situation happened more than once. I've been in that same situation in Donetsk, Mariupol, the Lugansk region, several places, and unfortunately had to experience that.
Since 2014, US-born Lancaster has lived in the eastern side of Ukraine, a place where Russian-speaking Ukrainians were treated extremely badly by the US-allied Western Ukrainians. And when I say treated badly, I mean like thousands of civilians lost their lives. I mean, serious stuff. But the world was told very little about this. It was only when Russian troops crossed the border into Ukraine in 2022 that the situation dominated the world's news headlines, and US and UK governments started a program of endlessly repeating the word unprovoked, even though anyone who did even the tiniest bit of research could see that was just unfair. When Patrick went out on the streets of eastern Ukraine with his camera, the world learned that this wasn't a story in which one side was all good and the other all bad. His videos went viral and his subscriber list zoomed up. It's now more than 600,000. So that leaves us with the question, why did it take one guy and a budget of $0 to show us that there were two sides to this story?
Well, because the Western mainstream media has to oblige to their narrative, the narrative of the West. And I try to do my best to show actually what I see without having to get permission from any redactor or anything like this. I just put out my information that I know is the facts and what the local people have to say about the situation.
I met Patrick last night along with several other sort of independent voices, including Angelo Giuliano, a Swiss businessman who's become really popular in this part of the world for regularly speaking out for Hong Kong against this sort of endless demonization. We reflected on the fact that it's tough for anyone to go against the Western government lines. Mainstream media instantly attacked Patrick Lancaster, calling him a pro-Kremlin influencer. When it became really obvious that he really annoyed the Russians too, did media withdraw the accusation? Nah. Instead they labelled him a double agent. The Wikipedia page tells the world Lancaster is known for regularly filming staged scenes and attempting to pass them off as real, and has been referred to as a fake master. Now notice it says that as a fact, not as an allegation. But it's nothing more than a claim, and who is making it? Well, there are two links. One leads to a Western Ukrainian group, who of course are going to say that. The other leads to a European fact-checking body that claims to be independent. If you do a bit of research, we find it actually gets money from the US and UK government. That's the funding. So they're about as impartial as the Pentagon Press Release Division, also known as the Financial Times. That is the problem. Most news comes from so-called independent groups such as mainstream media outlets, think tanks, fact-check bodies, pro-democracy groups in Cuba or Iran or Hong Kong. But every time you dig into them, we find they're funded by the US and UK governments. And that's why we need genuinely independent voices. So what's Patrick going to cover in this part of the world? He told me that the exact story titles were not yet defined, but he could immediately see that, buzzing, lively, packed Hong Kong was clearly not the dead, oppressed, empty, dying city that was portrayed by the international media. And that's the key. Don't believe what you see about Hong Kong or mainland China or Taiwan in the mainstream media. Visit the places if you can, and if you can't, find independent voices who can tell you the truth about them. That way you can make up your own mind. Peace.